Yes, hello. This is Tom Toronto. I'm going to talk a moment about the market conditions as we approach the very end of 2022. So let's take a look first at the absorption rate for 2022. The absorption rate is essentially the amount of inventory that we have in our local area to sell. And we calculate that by knowing how many houses are currently on the market and multiply that by the rate at which homes are selling. What that tells us is if we were to stop taking on new inventory, how many months would it take to empty the current inventory at the rate at which the houses are selling? And as you can see, we were down to 1 month of inventory at the beginning of this year. Now, that is historically an extremely low level of inventory. It even went further down below 1 month in February and then slightly upwards. Now, you notice something happened in the summertime. The market just at the end of the spring just started to change and houses started to sit longer on the market. Prices had gone up pretty drastically, but it was an interesting switch of events. Now let's take a look at some other stats that might be of interest. The one that's simply called inventory is interesting because it's just showing us the active listings, new listings, and sold listings. Now, notice that the number of sold listings has gone down a bit. The number of new listings went up in the summer and then down a little bit. And the active listings has continued upward. Now, why is that? Well, that's because houses have been sitting longer on the market. And so we're kind of building up an inventory that's not getting cleared out the way that it used to. So that's an interesting fact to see that we are continuing to kind of build up our inventory. So how long is it taking for properties to sell? Well, as you can see from this slide, it was going quicker and quicker and quicker for properties to sell all the way into June and July. It was very quick, and the days on the market has gone up drastically since that summertime. So all the way down from 21.7 days, and then all the way up in October to 62 days. So well more than double, almost triple the number of days that it's taking to sell properties. What's the reason for that? Well, we see the market has shifted, and essentially higher interest rates is one of the factors that the Fed has raised the interest rates, and it has had an effect of slowing down the market. So let's take a look at some other stats here. Prices. Over here in the bottom left, we're going to take a look at the prices. Now, we see prices absolutely did go up pretty drastically from January to March. That was a pretty clear increase in prices. And median list price went up as well, all the way through June and July. But what you will notice is that while people may talk about the market slowing down, this is by no means a crash. You are not seeing a price picture of a straight down drop. You do see a decline here from October to November. So prices are on the decline. But remember, it would still have to come all the way down to here, where you see in January, to even just basically take away the gains that were made this year alone. So the trend is a cooling off, a little bit of a slowing down, but it's definitely not a crash at this point by any stretch of that word. We would see here the sale to original list price ratio. People are still going out and having to do price reductions, and that is pretty much for the first time in a long time, people are able to or having to do a reduction. Whereas if you went back to the spring of this year, there were no price reductions. It usually closed for above asking price, and that was the price you started at was all you had to do. Things didn't sit long enough to need to do a price reduction. You got some kind of offers and were under contract. And so a lot of sellers at this time are sitting with properties for a longer period of time and having to do sometimes multiple price reductions to get that sold. The strategy for a seller in that case would be really to start off pricing it right and try to beat out the competition by being competitively priced for what you're getting. So that's a basic market update. If you are a buyer, this is good news, because what it means for you as a buyer is that you are in a much more competitive position than you were in the spring. You're able to shop. You're able to, if you really want to sleep on it, you can probably sleep on it and think about your decision. You may be able to ask for some things that you were not able to ask for previously, like a seller's concession. Maybe they could help buy down your rate. Maybe the sellers would allow you to write a contract contingent on the sale of another home. Things that were unheard of in the spring, you might be able to get now due to the change in the market. So, in spite of the fact that interest rates are higher, buyers are in a much better position in a lot of ways right now than they were in the spring. Sellers, again, it's not thrilling to see that there's price reduction, days on the market's going up. So sellers need to think strategically about how to get their property sold at an appropriate price. And there's a lot of different strategies and tools in the toolbox that myself and my team have to help you to get things sold. So if you're interested in selling, feel free to sit down with me for a consultation. We can talk about what we can do to capitalize on different tools and different strategies to still get you the best price and your property sold as quickly as possible. My name's Tom Toronto with Team Toronto at Keller Williams Realty. I'll talk to you next time. Thanks.